So, if you're on Substack, you probably know my feelings about the War on Terror, that this is a kind of reign of terror, a series of illegal wars perpetrated by an enemy that's foreign and domestic that's taken over, and that's why I say that Washington is Richmond. But I wanted to get back to this Bellum Judaicum thing. So I just did a text file with some quotes from that book. Remember, it was written by a Jewish general who then flipped sides and translated from, I guess, Hebrew or Aramaic into Greek so that the Roman world at the time could read about what were called the Jewish Wars. If you go find the book in a library or on Amazon, it's called The Jewish Wars by Josephus. But I wanted to give you like the pathos. Remember, I read this book for the first time 35 years ago, but I can sort of remember like some of the quotes and like the pathos of this general talking about this horrific war in which the last quote I just published in the text piece was about the end. By the way, I'm staring at this newspaper, which is the end of the American Civil War, and it's the Confederate soldiers going back through the South, and there's no food, and there's no order, and there's no nothing. I know I'm jumping around as like I usually do, but they just passed this law in Washington, D.C., which is going to gut all the rural hospitals and all the rural nursing homes and all the Section 8 housing, and just the war's over. There's no money. The war's coming home, people. The war's coming home. Anyways. All right, so there's like a really deep pathos in this author because the war was so tragic. Sorry to jump around again, but the last quote that I just put in the text piece is like the Roman soldiers going into the temple and just executing everybody while they're going through their religious services. That's the Second Temple. Now remember, this war on terror is to not only create a greater Israel, but create the Third Temple. This is real, people. I'm not making this shit up. They're built, the red heifers and the Sanhedrin and the whole thing is all in place. And it's done with American blood and American treasure and American boys. But they've bled us out. We don't have any, we can't even, Trump blew up a mountain in Iran and declared victory, which is the best thing to do. But it's over, but it's coming home now. And it's going to attack the American people. Because the war on terror was, first and foremost, was an attack on the American people. Okay? Nobody really knows what they were shown, but the congressmen that were paraded in front of Trump were shown some series of executive orders that were coming, and either, I doubt that they were like, oh, great, we're going to build a new stadium in Alabama or some shit. It probably terrified them. It's probably martial law. So, but really, if you're a thoughtful person, you need to check out this book. Just read the first chapter. So I got 12 quotes for you, and then I'll blab a little bit about them. But by the way, tomorrow, for subscribers, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you all the way, of what Palantir really is. It's not just this. It's not just, let's murder some more Muslims. Oh, no. No, people, it's, remember in Star Wars when they blow up Alderaan and Princess Leia's right there and all that? It's not that kind of scary. It's worse. It's worse. Anyways, let's get into it. It is the fate that flings the dice, and the prize is death. Warm, fuzzy thoughts for the nice Saturday. War is not so much a matter of arms as of money. Pretty good quote, huh? God, who sees all things, is the just and judge of the universe. Whoops. On the fall of Jerusalem, the city was so thoroughly razed to the ground by those who demolished it to its foundations that nothing was left that could ever persuade visitors that it had been a place of habitation. The Wailing Wall is not real, people. The Wailing Wall is a Roman fortress. They didn't leave part of the temple up. Like, that contradicts everything that you know about. Like, go look at the picture of Carthage. Like, they just turned Carthage back into the desert. Like, Carthage, gone. On the Zealots' factionalism. Now, we have a name for Zealots. They're called Zionists. They're the same thing, right? That's why we just murder and torture Muslims for no reason. Like, this guy didn't do anything to Israel. I think this picture was taken in Iraq. They raged against one another with more fury than against the Romans. On the tragedy of civil strife. No evil is worse than civil strife. It turns friends into bitter enemies and relatives into murderers. That's what this big, beautiful bill is to do, is to create civil strife. And the ICE agents are the new Cheka. The Cheka were the secret police under the Bolsheviks. Solzhenitsyn says, we should have gone after them with knives and pitchforks and hammers. There's a Cheka in the United States now, brought by Donald Trump. It's not really brought by Donald Trump, but you know what I mean. There's a Cheka. Guys with no insignia, SWAT uniforms, faces covered, running around big American cities, running around construction sites, landscaping, ranches. Now, if you think this idea that Washington is now Richmond, think of what they just did to these ranchers. Big farms. It's not, well, right over the hill is a big dairy farm, and it's had illegal Hispanic workers for the last 25 years. They go to these farmers and ranchers, the ICE agents do, and say, okay, if you're in charge of these people, Trump says it publicly, if you're in charge of these people, you have to take responsibility for them. And the rancher and farmer goes, okay, they're slaves. They're slaves. Trump has just reinstalled slavery. Those people know that they can't leave the farm or the ranch. On the siege of Masada, which is Mossad is named after, I think it was the Sakari rebels. I think there was like a couple hundred of them. I don't think it was more than 1,000 in this real remote part of the desert. And they murdered each other instead of surrendering. They preferred death before slavery, and so they died as free men. That's Mossad. So Israelis have this 2,000-year-old like thing against everybody. Against Muslims, against us, against Europeans, against fucking everybody. That's why it is the Bellum Judaicum. On the nature of tyranny, absolute power corrupts even the wise. And this is right out of Shakespeare. Misfortunes come not singly, but in battalions. These are great quotes, aren't they? The duty of a historian is to tell the truth even when it is painful. It's also the duty of a TikTok influencer. The Romans never lose a battle through lack of discipline, nor win one by mere numbers. He eventually flipped sides and became a Roman general. On the consequences of rebellion, they sowed the wind and reaped the whirlwind, which is a paraphrase of a biblical quote. But I also used Manus to do this, which is what generated the text file. And I want to read this last one to you that Manus pulled up. View the post. This is the one that really cuts you to the quick, like. And then the picture that I posted is the arch that's, I think, within eye shot of the Colosseum. The Colosseum was built by the slaves that were garnered by the destruction of Jerusalem. But anyways, the last one was, time and again when the temple was being captured and they were being butchered around the altar, did they abandon their ceremonies ordained for the day. So, tomorrow If you can find $9.95 or $80,